Hi, my name is Carter Smith, and I am battling stage 2 HER2 positive breast cancer. I am a registered nurse over at St. Vincent. I was diagnosed in December of 2020. A year prior to being diagnosed, had gone for a mammogram and ultrasound of the breast. It's very common in women to have very dense breast tissue, and a lot of times with hormonal changes, you can develop what they call a fibrocystic nodule. So I had a mammogram and an ultrasound done, and it showed just the fibrocystic area. In November, I came down with COVID, lost a bunch of weight, was doing kind of like a hand on my chest at the, in the middle of the night, and I felt the lump and was kind of dismissive a little bit to myself about it possibly being fibrocystic again. But I went to the doctor, and it was at my son's annual visit. I mentioned something to him about it, and he took me into the exam room and did an exam, and he said that definitely does feel like a lump, a pretty good sized lump, so I'm going to send you for another mammogram and ultrasound just to make sure. They got me in right away over at the breast center. Team of people were amazing and supportive. They did the mammogram, and followed by the ultrasound showed that it was an abnormal mass, and scheduled me for a breast biopsy for the following day. I'm very kind of in tune with my body, and I feel for the most part a lot of women are. At the time, I knew something was wrong. I couldn't explain it. A lot of the close nurses that I work with could see that there was a change. I wasn't outgoing, I was very anxious, and I kept trying to demand answers of, something's off, something's wrong. There's got to be something going on. All of these mental health changes. This is not me. I'm not an anxious person. I'm just go with the flow. So by listening to my own body and understanding my own body, I just kept searching for answers. Luckily, I found it. Otherwise, it would have kept continuing to get dismissed as X, Y, and Z of diagnosis. I was a single mom. They had gone through so much around that time anyway, and to kind of lay the diagnosis on them was, from a mom standpoint, very hard. My older child was old enough to understand. My youngest was a little confused. But they were pretty much, my biggest motivation to keep going. And I had a great support system from the nurses that I work with, my friends and family. Everybody just kind of rallied around, and I'm kind of just an upbeat, positive person anyway. So I found there was down days, but then when there were good days, I just made the best of it and just kept pushing. All of the fundraisers, especially like our softball community, held a fundraiser, really rallying together to support financially. It takes so much of that stress off. With being a single mom, I was the only one at the time supporting, so I had to continue to work through chemo, through surgeries. I would take the least time off possible because there was no other option. I had to make income. I was told by the oncologist that I caught it super early. However, my type of breast cancer is a very aggressive type of breast cancer. There are 3 different types. There's triple negative, which is pretty much the hardest breast cancer to treat. There is a hormone receptive breast cancer, which feeds off of estrogen and progesterone. And then there's what they call HER2, which is basically just a protein that's found on a cell, but too many of them basically just amps up cancer cells. So when my oncologist told me that I had found it fairly quickly and early on, I thought, oh gosh, this is awesome. And now I feel normal because now I know what's wrong. Even though I had caught it early, it had already spread to my lymph nodes and other parts of my left breast, right breast, lymph nodes. And so, even though I had early detection, I was already to stage 2. The further along it progresses, the harder it can be to treat. So, and I'll be honest, I didn't do monthly breast exams at all. I thought, well, I'll just do it when I go to the OB's office for my yearly checkup. And now it hits a whole nother point for me. And I feel like most women may kind of just put it off as those fibrocystic changes that we're all used to. But looking back, had I not found that, I don't know where I would be today with that. So early detection, doing those monthly breast self-exams are huge. And I feel like a lot of women maybe don't do them because they don't know how. Even going on to like I think even Susan G. Komen website, like they actually show you, have a pamphlet on there of how to do it. I mean, we're so blessed with technology today that you could get online and find anything, even like YouTube videos of how to do it. So I really urge women that if you don't know how, just get informed, get educated on it, and do it. Especially if you're high risk, if you have risk factors, family, breast cancer, any kind of cancer, they look at those risk factors and kind of determine how far you are at risk to get it. I think, as my oncologist said, I had since no family history or anything, like a 2.3% chance of getting breast cancer, and I got it. So even if you don't have high risk factors, I would still recommend getting it done. Going through this time that we are with COVID, it's very difficult. I know at the cancer center, like one of the big things were like what they call chemo buddies, and that is simply just this group of amazing people that come in, and while you are getting treatment, I mean, they're sitting down talking to you, they are bringing you snacks, they're bringing you drinks. When going through treatment, they weren't even there, and people that had been used to them, you could just see that being taken away affected them. I think as a community, when people come together, it shows a support to that person. It makes that person feel like, wow, like I'm not in this alone. That gives them motivation. It takes stress off, because I will say, research shows that stress while having cancer just continues to, plummet your immune system. And any stress that you can take off someone who's, fighting the battle is amazing. So for the community to come together, different fundraisers being held, not only does it help that person, but it brings so much awareness that people aren't aware of. So I feel like that's huge. Things so much go unnoticed. While one person's journey and treatment may be one way, it can be completely opposite for the other person. So any help or any awareness that's brought to, finding a cure, even furthering research in breast cancer is amazing.
On Saturday, October 23rd, visit our East Side or West Side locations from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or our Nitro Wash from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20% of that day's proceeds will go to Carter Smith and family to help financially with cancer treatments. Help us raise awareness while assisting this local family. At Lucas Oil Center, we aren't just changing oil, we are changing lives.